We were just talking off camera about meditation
Mm.
and how there is no perfect place to meditate. And, we think that we need to go to a mountain or a monastery. What are
Right.
your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's, people, you hear people saying, I need to go to my happy place, right? And a happy place is usually an actual place that they've set aside, and this is very the modern thing, about like, you even see it on TV now, in commercials, you see the person meditating and they're in this perfect pose on their perfect pillow in their perfect room, and it's all beautiful and serene, and they're supposed to be meditating. And I know energy pretty well, and I can look at the person sitting there going, you ain't meditating. So this idea that there's a perfect place to go to meditate there isn't. You can do perfect meditation in the middle of a 90,000 crowd at a football stadium, right? Because it has nothing to do with where you are. It has everything to do with where you are in here, right? If you can let your mind, your body, and emotions be separate from you, no matter where you are, you can meditate. Now, in the beginning, when you're starting a meditation process, it's hard to start trying to meditate in a full crowd in the stadium, right? So yes, finding a place that's quiet is helpful. And people ask me sometimes, what about music? Like, could I play music? Could I light a candle? My response to that usually is, whatever gets you to sit down and be quiet for a while, do that. In time, you have to let go of those things and not need them for that practice. But if it helps you in the beginning to get into that place and develop a practice, then sure, go for it. But people too, I've heard people say, well, I can't sit like that, so I can't meditate, And it has nothing to do with, perfectly cross-legged situation with your fingers, and it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with being comfortable, but sitting erect. Your spine needs to be erect because of the energy. It needs to be erect. Lying down on a bed is no good because that's where you sleep. So your mind is going to say, it's time for sleep. Laying on a couch is going to do the same thing. Sitting on a couch is going to do the same thing. So it needs to be in a place where your spine is upright, but you're comfortable. Your feet can be flat on the floor. The reason that people cross their legs is to stop the happy leg movement, right? Because if your legs are not under you and secure like that, there's a tendency to move them, right? And so now you're back in your physical. So that's the reason they do that. But yeah, it takes practice, like we talked about. It takes practice, and so sitting down and developing a practice of sitting down on a daily basis, it's a cumulative, right? It one on top of the other, it builds and builds and builds. And the other thing I would say is that, because I would go through this experience myself of like having a bad meditation, I would get up and go, oh my God, that was a terrible meditation. Damn, you can't put judgment on like the practice you had that day. If you do that, you'll never. That's like a basketball player having a bad day and saying, oh, well, I'm no good, right? Professional basketball players miss a lot. Professional baseball players miss most of the time, right? If a batting average is like 300 or 350, that means 3 out of 10 times they hit the ball. That's fantastic. Most of the times they miss, right? So it's the same in meditation. Some will be wonderful, some will be awful, but you just keep going until you get to that place where you can leave everything behind. The other thing you got to be careful of is you might have a wonderful experience in meditation, and then you chase that the next time. You're like, I want to have that experience again, and the chasing of it is keeping you from having any kind of experience at all.
You're not present then.
You're not present anymore. You're chasing something, and you will never have the same experience twice anyway. It's always going to be different. So whatever it is, it's just keeping at it one day after the other. Keep doing the practice, and in time, you'll be able to. Because people can say about the monkey mind, right? And your mind and all the thoughts, and how do you deal with all the thoughts? And to me, the more you try to avoid the thoughts to come in, the more they are there. Mm-hmm. So let them come in, entertain them, and let them go. So, oh, I'm thinking about that right now, and then move on to it. Oh, I'm thinking about that right now, let that go. This practice over time of just letting go of the thoughts but entertaining them as they come through will eventually quiet your mind down. You'll get so used to that they just pass by really quickly. But if you focus on trying not to think about them, you are going to be stuck on just doing that and still stuck in thought. So don't try to avoid it. Let it come in and let it go.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone actually explain it that way.
That's too bad.
This is why we're here.
You have to not try to push your thought away, because the act of trying to push your thought away is a thinking process. Mm-hmm. If you're using your mind, you're not meditating. So if the thought comes in, oh, tomorrow I have to do that. Okay, all right, I'll do that tomorrow. Let it go. Mm-hmm. I know that Shakti Gawain, have you heard of her? She's a wonderful teacher. She wrote a wonderful book, Creative Visualization. But she would talk about, imagining all of the things that you're thinking about are coming into your mind and putting them into a bubble. Mm-hmm. And then let the bubble just float up to a place where, you know what, I'll come back to you later. Right now I'm here, but I know you're all there. So when I'm done, I'll bring the bubble back down and we can go back into that. So I thought it was a really nice visualization for meditation, mm-hmm. to take the thoughts and you're fine. I know you're there. I'll put you here on the side in a minute in the bubble and I'll bring you back.
What if the bubble pops?
What?
What if the bubble pops?
Create another bubble. That's the beauty of bubbles, right? Mm-hmm. I heard someone talk about that recently, Lisa, right. About bubbles and popping.
Mm-hmm. Can someone meditate too much?
No.
Just out of curiosity.
Because it's an interesting question. I've never been asked this question before. Can you meditate too much? So in meditation, like I said, you're with the eternal aware consciousness. How is that too much? It's not a this or that anymore. In the human world, there's little and a lot. Right? Again, there's the opposite stuff, right? It's the stuff of things, right? And so we think in terms of big, small, a little, a lot, too much, too little, right? All these different things. But in the space of the eternal aware consciousness, there's no such concept. There's no concept of too much or too little. It's just there. And when there, you can be, see, there is no, oh boy, we'll get a little bit deep here. Okay. There is no time. Time is measured by one clock to another clock, right? When you're in the eternal space consciousness, right, time doesn't exist. So backwards and forwards is not there. You can be instantly anywhere like this, mm-hmm. right? Because there's no distance, there's no time, right? And so I explain this to people, like, if I'm sitting here and someone's sitting way over there, between us there's an energy. There's air. Air is energy, right? I have an energy, the air has an energy, and the other person has an energy. So it's all energy. Now, if I can come to that eternal aware consciousness, which is in all of this, it's in the oxygen, it's in me, it's in them. If I now go to that eternal aware consciousness, how is there any separation between me and that? Because I'm in all of it. It's all connected, all is one. Where's the space? Where's the time? I'm already connected to it, like it's a oneness. Right? That's why there's no time.
Yeah, and the separateness is
it's
only
gone.
In the physical.
It's gone. Because in everything, right? Like we talked about Shiva, the no thing, right? The eternal aware consciousness is in every physical thing. You, the tree, the rock, whatever. It's in everything. So if it's in everything, you're connected with everything. Right? If people realized that who you ultimately are is in everything. So if you hit someone with your hand, right, you're hitting yourself. If you just realize that for a second, you're actually hitting yourself. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Right? But people don't experience that oneness. They experience separateness. And so they think there's me, there's the other, there's this, there's that. And so they don't understand that underneath all of that, it's all just oneness anyway. And that eternal aware consciousness is in everything. It's in all of it. It couldn't possibly be here if it wasn't in it. The only reason it is here is because that is in it. It wouldn't be if it wasn't in it. It couldn't exist if that wasn't in it. That's what keeps it there. It's what keeps the stars in the sky. It's what keeps all the galaxies in the space. Like, what's holding it? The scientists call it dark matter, dark space. They don't know what it is, right? They don't know what's holding all of this in here, right? What's holding it all together? That's what's holding it here. You know, it's all in that consciousness. They'll figure it out someday.